UN Security Council demands immediate Gaza ceasefire after US has abstained. United Nations Security Council adopted a resolution demanding an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Hamas and the release of all hostages after the United States abstained from the vote. Now, the White House has said final resolution did not have language the US deems essential and the vote does not represent a shift in policy. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that the US failure to veto the resolution is a clear retreat from the previous position and would hurt war efforts against Hamas, as well as efforts to release the Israeli hostages held in Gaza. Following the UN vote, Netanyahu cancelled a visit to Washington by a high-level delegation that was due to discuss a planned Israeli military operation in the southern Gaza city of Rafah.
The UN Security Council resolution that passed today, from which the United States abstained, there were issues with which we had concerns related to that resolution. The fact that it did not condemn Hamas's terrorist attacks of October 7th, that's why we didn't vote for it. But the reason we didn't veto it is because there were also things in that resolution that were consistent with our long-term position. Most importantly, that there should be a ceasefire and that there should be a release of hostages, which is what we understood also to be the government of Israel's position.
It is a historical day for the Council. For the first time ever, we sponsored and the Council adopted the resolution on the question of Palestine. We are happy that the Council has successfully adopted the much needed resolution to demand the immediate ceasefire in Gaza and the release of hostages.
אין לנו זכות מוסרית לעצור את המלחמה בעזה עד אשר נחזיר את כל החטופים אל ביתם. אם לא נשיג הכרעה ברורה ומוחלטת בעזה, זה עלול לקרב מלחמה מצפון.
Joining me now is India Today's Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan for the latest on that. Geeta, good morning. This, remember, is going to be very interesting. Do tell us, what does the abstaining of USA mean for this? Because it appears that the UN has gone ahead with the call for ceasefire, but is Israel not too happy about USA abstaining?
Well, Israel is rather upset about America not voting against the resolution, given that there have been past resolutions. And in all those past resolutions, particularly the ones that were moved by U.S., there was a clear statement that one, condemned the Hamas attack, secondly, called for the release of hostages as a primary deal for any kind of ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. This time around, there has been a change in language, but it had become untenable for the United States of America to continue to vote against a UN resolution or a country-backed resolution at the United Nations Security Council that sought ceasefire at a time where we've seen 90% of Gazans having been displaced and scores of them having been killed. So Israel absolutely upset. There were 15 votes, 14 for and 1 abstention, no against, which is why the UNSC resolution has gone through and could very well be binding for Israel. However, Israel is upset and in reaction to America's changed position has gone ahead and cancelled a delegation visit to Washington, from Washington, D.C. to Israel. So,
Geeta, can we call this a changed position, or possibly ahead of U.S. elections, maybe Joe Biden only being slightly more cautious, looking at what the ground sentiment could be? At this point, also tell us, what does this now mean? When a UN call for ceasefire is clear, does this mean there will be a push for it now? Israel could face sanctions. What does this mean if a U.S. ceasefire call is cleared?
No, there are no sanctions over here. It just means that Israel's position was very clear that there is going to be no ceasefire.
Yes.
And that for them, anybody and everyone who is in that area and has been, or if there are Hamas still existing in certain areas, that civilian population are collateral damage. And that position has changed, not the policy. Now, the White House has said that the final resolution in the language the U.S. considers essential was not there, and that's why they could not vote in favor, but abstained from voting. This abstention has cost Israel a lot, which is why Israel says that this position of U.S.'s failure to use their veto is a clear retreat. America believes that there is no shift in position. They just did what they thought best at this point in time to bring about a ceasefire, but also seeking release of hostages. Netanyahu very clear that considering it a retreat, and also now looking at how the Israeli administration will continue its onslaught or not, while the United Nations Security Council, in a way, has gone ahead and passed the resolution unanimously with one abstention.
All right. So at least could that bring the war to an end? And importantly, so many hostages, including children and toddlers who continue to be held in Gaza and much more. Appreciate you joining us, Geeta Mohan, for the latest.